Okay, it is, what is today, the 31st, January 31st, 2015, day before the Super Bowl. Go Hawks, we'll see what happens. Wanted to give an update on the boat. I'm at a pretty critical point here, and wanted to show you kind of where things are at and what I'm doing. Been a lot of little things over the last month or so, just incremental progress as I've been going. A lot of nitty-gritty little things. Got the cleats in, attached the stringers every place I need them. Got, I think, both of the pieces of the deck now cut and ready to be installed. Everything's glassed in. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to put a piece of the floor in, so let me show you where I'm at. I'm going to put the piece here in the back in, I think, today. I'll do this now. I've got cleats in all along, attached to the stringers here. What I did was use construction cement, clamped, and then screwed in, from this side through, countersunk the stainless steel screws into the cleat, and then you can see here's one, for example. This is a countersunk screw, and then once it was all in there, then just put caked peanut butter over it, and so that is nice and sealed in. Along here for the seam between the stringer and the cleat. You know, the stringer, especially with the 1708 on it, creates some inconsistencies. It's not a complete solid seal between the two, so once everything was dried in terms of construction cement, I came back through and just spread some peanut butter in here and sealed up that gap nicely all along. So as you can see, I put in a cleat here in the back, pretty much followed the same process. Any place where I've got exposed ends on the cleats, all of that's been sealed into with resin, so the cleats should be sealed in, but if they do end up causing a problem down the road, it's easy to replace them, or easier than ripping the cleats out, I guess. I did have to put in a couple of support pieces, such as this one here, because I'm going to have an opening here in the back with the ski locker extending up this way, so I needed something to cross here to provide support, because there will be deck between this cleat and this support, and people will walk through here, so I couldn't have this I couldn't have this area operating without a support up the front. So this particular support, which will also serve as a cleat, I put stainless steel screws through here, construction cement in between, and then did the same thing, countersunk the screws and backfilled with peanut butter. So those should be pretty solid. Of course, every single one of these cleats is coated in resin, so they should be pretty well protected. Otherwise, should be ready to go. I've done the same towards the front here. This is the front end of the support, so the ski locker goes in this space. This will be the front support here. Treated that the same way, and then you can see the bulkhead up front. So I think what I'm going to do, though, is here inside the ski locker, the storage compartment is, you know, water comes up into this space and travels up and down here, and if I have any oil that's mixed with that water, it of course travels up in here as well. And when the boat was new, they just covered this locker with like a carpet material, and that got oil soaked, and then you have your skis in there and the oil gets all over those and so on. So what I'm going to do is just create some space here by putting in a piece of plywood that will sit down here, and I will cover this all with carpet, and I've drilled some holes in this board to allow for water to drain. It won't go all the way forward, it won't go all the way back, but you'll see it will create a little bit of space here for water to travel that will contain some of the, you know, whatever else is mixed in with the water, if there's a little bit of oil, etc. But it won't be, well, it'll have to be a lot of water, I guess, for it to start getting up into this where the skis are stored. But typically that doesn't happen. Typically it's just a smaller amount of water, and that can stay beneath the board and protect the skis. So I'll put this in. I'll cover it with some probably some chop strand mat or something, and seal it up. But it's not a vital part of the boat. It's just really in there to protect the skis. So the other thing I should show you is that I do have a couple of hinges that I'm needing to install on the it's for the engine cover. So the engine cover can be pulled back up off of the engine, and it can be removed if you want, but it allows access to the engine. Those hinges in the past, in the original setup, the screws were sunk directly into the deck. Those things then, I think, if you look back at the very early on videos, you can see where it looks like that's certainly where some very early rotting happened, because water was able to get around those screws into the decking, down into the hull, or not the hull, but you know, down into underneath the decking, and that's I think one of the very early causes for some of the rotting that happened. So I'm trying to avoid that. So as it turns out, those particular hinges, the spacing of them falls right on top of the, thankfully not the stringers, right on top of the cleats. So here's what I've done. I have prepared the deck in that I have drilled oversized holes here. There's 2 on this side. There are 2 on this side. So I drilled them oversized, and then I backfilled with resin. So these are filled with resin, and what will happen is, once I get the hinge, get a hinge here, the hinge will sit right on top of these puppies, right on top of these holes, and I will drill the holes through the resin, and then put the screws through there. So the screws will not touch the wood at all. They'll only be with the resin, and then of course the plywood, it doesn't have it on it yet, but it'll have some 2 layers of 1708 on top of it, so then the hinge will go down, and there just won't be any water contact with the wood, the deck. And then on the cleats, I've done the same thing. I have drilled oversized holes here and then filled them with resin. They are deep enough so that when the screw is inserted in, it will not penetrate the bottom of the resin. It will, the entire screw will be sitting essentially within hardened resin. So if any water does make its way down into and around the screw, it'll be within resin, and it shouldn't, it'll take a long time, let's say, for it to make its way to the cleat. And then when I install the decking, I'll cake around here some peanut butter, so that when the decking is put on, it'll create a nice seal around these holes. So if any water does sneak down in there, it's going to be hard pressed for a lot of it anyway to find its way to anything of significance. This side is a little bit concerning because I can't really cake around here. I don't know what I'm going to do there. If water does make its way in there, I guess it could make its way into this space, but I think that'll be a minimum amount. This side is not as much of a concern. There's a little bit of room here cake some peanut butter there, but I think overall it'll be much more solid than it was before, and it's going to take a long time for any significant water to get through there. Probably by that time I'll either well, it'll be a long time, let's just say. So today I'm going to put the deck in. I've got some small pieces of 1/4 inch foam board here that it'll sit on. I will put some peanut butter all along the edges here, also here all along, and set the decking down, put some weight on top of it, and get this piece of deck in place. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping to do all that today and let it sit for a good week or so and get good and solid, and then get it all tabbed in, and then I can work on the most forward part of the decking. That's where we are, little by little. See ya.